Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is becoming a superstar, and he's really shown that development this season. And if you don't consider him a superstar, he's at least playing like one. Shai is playing some of the best basketball that we've ever seen from him, and as a matter of fact, he might be a dark horse MVP candidate. This season, Shai is averaging 32, 5, and 6 while averaging about 2 steals. He's also having insane shooting splits of 50, 40, 90. And if you didn't know, only 9 NBA players of all time has ever done that before, so if he kept up the same pace, he'd be on the same list with some pretty good players. I think not a whole lot of people are realizing how good Shai is doing and how he's stacking up against some of the best players this season. I found myself even surprised to see how good Shai has done this season. He's number 4 in scoring, he's top 3 in PER, and he's also number 4 in efficient field goal percentage. So when we're looking at MVP candidates and superstar players, it seems like Shai statistically is right around the same area. But I want to dissect his game because he's an interesting player, and the way he plays is that of an MVP level player. Something I want to talk about is his frame. He has a 6'11" wingspan, which for a shooting guard is very impressive. You will see multiple examples of Shai using his frame to create more shots that most guards really could not take. Most shooting guards would not be able to shoot over a guy that is contesting him heavily and actually make the shot with accuracy, but Shai is a different breed. This season, Shai is averaging 49.3%, which is number 6 in the NBA in mid-range jump shots. Some people have said the mid-range game is dead, but I highly disagree, and it's people like Shai who's bringing it back because it's still an efficient shot at the end of the day. And Shai has been able to utilize that in his game so he can be a more efficient scorer, and it's clearly working this year. As I've said multiple times, he is at the top of his game when it comes to scoring this season. And it's not like he's utilizing his mid-range jump shot because he can't shoot threes. No, he's shooting 42% from 3 this season, which is not normally something you see from someone that is the #1 option on his own team. You normally see that from guys that are catch and shoot. And Shai, well, he's definitely not that. His ISO game is impressive, which is how we got to that game winner that he just made versus the Wizards. On this play, Shai is going to catch the inbound, and he's going to go to this little step back move that he does. However, it doesn't get as much separation as he wants, and then he does it again. If we stop right here, we can see that the defender is doing a closeout on Shai, and honestly, this is a tough shot to make. He's contested, and he should not make this. There is no other better way to play this. But Shai doesn't care as he takes the shot fully contested, and he makes it for the win. When I tell you Shai is good at taking contested jump shots, I really mean it, even in the clutch. Something that I love about Shai is 1, his frame, but 2, how he utilizes his frame. Shai is very good at driving to the rim, and he not only uses his frame, but footwork as well to make very efficient shots when it comes to taking it at the rim. This season, he's averaging 73% on shots at the rim, which just goes to show you that Shai is not afraid to take it down low. On this play, Shai will come up with the ball with Scotty Barnes, who is a pretty good defender who's guarding him, but he can't really do much as Shai goes up with his left and he makes it. Not only did Shai utilize his frame on this play, but he also utilized the fact that he's pretty fast and is able to outrun certain players. Shai's gonna get a steal and he's gonna be on a fast break with about 2 people on him. However, he utilizes his footwork and somehow gets an N1 on this play and has a basically wide open layup. Once again, we're on another fast break opportunity and Shai has the ball and he's going to bring it up and is going to absorb some contact to make a pretty contested layup. I've noticed that Shai's been able to utilize his 6'11" wingspan on the offensive side pretty well. But as much as I've talked about his offense, I want to also talk about his defense, where he's utilized not only his wingspan and his frame, but also his IQ level that he displays on the defensive side of the ball. Before I continue on, if you guys are enjoying this video, if you could leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel, I'd very much appreciate it. Also, we have a sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Epidemic Sound. Non-copyright music is one of the essentials to being a YouTuber, and it is very hard to find the right songs to use in your videos. However, Epidemic Sound is here to help you. With over 35,000 songs and 90,000 sound effects filtered by different moods and genres and tempos, Epidemic Sound is the perfect place to find music for your videos. I wouldn't be sponsoring something if I didn't actually stand by them, and I've been using Epidemic Sound for the longest time. Shout out to Catherine Manning. I actually found Epidemic Sound through her, and now I want to put you guys on. If you guys use the link in the description below or in my pinned comment, you guys will get a free 30-day trial. Thank you to Epidemic Sound for sponsoring this video. When it comes to my MVP choice every single season, I feel myself looking at a couple factors. 1, how is he on the offensive side? And I'm not talking about just stats, because stats are stats. They don't tell the full story. I look at a player's game and I see how he is on the offensive side, and if it's just a free throw heavy game, or if he's someone that can create his own shot, is efficient from the rim to the mid range to the 3, is he a catch and shoot guy? What what is he good at and does he utilize that well? And when it comes to stats, I look at certain things that are more advanced, like true shooting percentage, because I think that tells more of a full story than a field goal percentage. But also, I like to look at how they are on defense. Now, I feel like lately when it comes to MVP players we've seen in these past couple years, we've seen a lot of big men take home the award. Even the guys who are constantly brought up in the conversation, like Giannis and Jokic and Embiid, you really only see about 1 to 2 guards when it comes to the MVP candidates. And I think that's because the MVP voters really like to look at the defensive side of a player, because as you've noticed, a lot of those big men are pretty good on defense. However, Shai has something to say about his defense. Like I mentioned earlier, he's 6'5" with a 6'11" wingspan, so obviously he can utilize that on offense, but on defense, oh, does he utilize it alright? Gary Trent Jr. is going to drive to the rim, but he'll kick it out to Scotty Barnes, who tries to make a pass to Fred VanVleet in the corner, but Shai steals it. A pretty simple pickpocket play, which leads to a transition score I showed you earlier. Julius Randle tries to size up his defender, so he passes it out to what seems like an open player, however Shai just steals it. You could chalk it up to a lazy pass, but in all fairness to Julius Randle, I don't think he saw Shai coming. But it didn't matter to Shai as he got the steal, and it once again led to a transition bucket. Cam Reddish is going to try this behind the back play, however Shai knows better and he steals it from him, and again leads to a transition play. What I've noticed a lot about Shai on the defensive end is when he's able to create these steals, he's able to create more opportunities, which is why the Thunder aren't doing so bad this season. Currently, they are 7-8, but let's look at the fact that 1, they have so much potential in the future, and 2, the West is so wide open, anything could happen. And the Thunder do look like a pretty good team, even though they don't have Chet Holmgren. I can only imagine the Thunder possibly making the play-in and maybe making the playoffs. With them having a guy like Shai leading the charge into a possible playoff run, there's no limit to what this team can do. Unfortunately for Shai, the MVP voters might not vote him just because of his team's record, but I don't think that should be just on Shai. The team has potential. They have a lot of young players that I think will develop over time, and slowly they will become one of the best teams in the West. Remember, Sam Presti is a maniac for draft picks, and you know he's going to either A, utilize them for a superstar player, or B, he's just going to draft an amazing player that will eventually lead into a superstar for OKC. And speaking of superstar, a lot of people are questioning whether or not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar in the NBA, so let's answer that question. First off, people have many standards when it comes to what is a superstar. I think there's only like 5 to 7 in the league, and there are a lot of talented players that just won't make that list. Talent-wise, if Shai was able to keep up this same production, there's no doubt in my mind he will become a superstar. But Shai is only 24 years old, and he has 3 years until he's supposed to hit his prime. So if this is Shai as a high-level player, I can only imagine what's going to happen in 3 seasons. I think talent-wise, he could be there, but I just don't see him on that list, even though the list is very short. However, he's sure playing like one, and there's no doubt in my mind that as time goes on, Shai is going to eventually prove to people that yes, he is a superstar. As someone that has a pretty good feel when younger players are going to develop and when they're going to break out of their shell, I did not see this coming from Shai this season. My prediction was Shai was going to be like a 27 points per game score with high efficiency, but yeah, he definitely exceeded my expectations. And in the words of JJ Redick, Shai is cold as fuck.